Hi, it's Matt from Go Green Autos. So here we have a Citroen Berlingo electric van. So these vans are the same as the Peugeot partner. They're both identical. They came off the same line. The only difference between these and the Peugeots is the badge up the front and the material on the seats. So these vans have it all really. They've got air conditioning as standard. They've got 3 seats up front, so they're the only electric van that you can sit 3 people. And they have got DC rapid charging, so you can do the longer distances in these because you can get that 20 to 30 minute rapid charge. So let's have a look inside the cargo area at the back. So it is in really nice condition. It's ply lined, but it's got this nicer anti-slip flooring in, much better than ply on the floor, and also covering the wheel arches. And it's got a solid steel bulkhead. This is an aftermarket bulkhead. Originally it would have been an open van because it's got the original ladder frame behind the driver's seat. And over there's the charge cable, standard type 1 to type 2. We've got lighting inside, and we've also got LED beacons up on the roof on this one as well. So inside the van here we've got 3 seats, as I said. These all have air conditioning as standard. This one has got a radio and CD. It's also got Bluetooth as well, and we've got our auxiliary inputs here. We've got a stereo input and a USB. And this one has also got a Traffic Master sat nav as well, which is included with the vehicle. So we've got the button down there. I haven't used the Traffic Master one for many years. When I last used them, you didn't have the screens, you just had the button. So I'm assuming it's the same setup where you push the button and you talk to someone in the control room, and they find the route for you and send it down to the vehicle, and it saves you messing around with the screen and typing. But certainly having the screen is much better in the original system, because before it was all just audible directions, and now you've got visual as well. So it'd be interesting to try that. And then with these vans you get overhead storage. We've also got storage there under the seat. There's storage here under the driver's seat as a pull-out tray, but that's got the puncture repair kit because there's no spare wheel with these. And that seat also lifts up as well, and if it didn't have a bulkhead you can also lay it down flat and store long items through as well, but obviously having the bulkhead now fitted stops that. The only downside of these and the partner vans is the cup holders. They're in the door bins both sides, but they're not particularly tall and not ideal. So the purpose of these videos primarily is to show you the condition, and I'm very honest about showing the condition. I don't hide anything. I point out every little stone chip, mark or scratch I can find, and then that gives people the confidence to buy the vehicle without coming to view it first, and then I deliver the vehicle to them. So let's start walking around, and I'll show you. There's very little to show you on this one. It is in cracking condition. It's all just minor cosmetic scuffs really on the wheel trims. It had previously been sign written and a sort of partial vinyl wrap, so the paintwork is very nice because it was protected by the vinyl. But where some of it's been removed, there is the odd little nick out of the paint, which I have dabbed a bit of white touch-up stick in. You always get that when people remove sign writing. And I would just say, in certain lights you can still see the writing in the side of the panels. It's where the original paint has faded and the protected paint is then removed, and it's slightly whiter, so you can see there's a bit of a line there where faded paint is against the covered paint. So there's the evidence of the sign writing on both sides and across the bonnet. I have tried to polish it out. It's certainly a lot better than it was. Some lights, like now, I can't actually see that. I don't know whether the camera's picking it up. And then at other lights, in other brightness, you can see it. It's just strange how it works. But anyway, so let's start here. There's some minor scuffing on the wheel trim. Tyres are all like new still. I'll put the tyre tread depths on the website. There's nothing to point out at all down this side. It's all dent and scratch free. There's a bit of scuffing on the wheel trim again. The only marks to point out here is there's a bit of scuffing down here on the plastic bumper. Looking round the front, there's nothing to note. And then there was a little chip in the paint there. I just let that lorry go past, which I have dabbed a bit of paint on, and there's a tiny little scuff there on the this is plastic actually, that panel, painted plastic panel. Again, a little bit of scuffing around there on the wheel trim. It's really insignificant, really. No chips in the windscreen, I should add as well. There's no dents or marks at all down this side, just like the other. The bodywork's in great condition. Again, a bit of scuffing around there on the wheel trim. Bit of the black paint is coming off the sliding rail here. All of these do that. That's a pretty standard feature of these vans, to be honest. And then the back is, really good condition. The only other thing I'll point out is where the sign writing has been removed. There's the odd little bit where it is still underneath the handle. So I've removed the bits on this side of the handle, but to get those it would mean taking the handle off. But it's really small. I decided it wasn't worth the effort. Again, the same behind these. I've taken these off to get rid of the vinyl, but on the back ones there's still a tiny little bit, like 0.5 millimetre along there. But to be honest, when you pull these off, most of the clips break, and I've started running out of clips. I've replaced all the clips on the front ones, so it just wasn't worth removing them to then end up with something that wasn't clipped down and possibly rattle a bit. So you can see a little bit of the vinyl there, a little bit on that door handle, but we're talking of 1 millimetre. You can see a little bit along the top of there because there is some vinyl behind there. Again, that door handle, but I've done that side. That handle's free of it, and that's about it. I think it's just the odd little bit. And I've shown you in the back. The back is just fantastic condition. The only thing I would point out is one of the tie-down hooks there has obviously got damp and it's gone a bit rusty, but it's just surface rust. The rest of it, it looks like it's hardly been used, to be honest. And then on the inside, everything's scratch free and stain free and no odour. It's really nice condition. And these seats, I haven't even cleaned them. They're just in fantastic condition. There's just nothing to show you at all in the front. So let's talk about charging. So we have 2 charge ports. On this side is your AC charge port. It's a Type 1 and it's a 3.6 kilowatt charger. So you would use this at home or your workplace for overnight charging or top-ups throughout the day, and in also slower public charging posts, like typically there's 7 kilowatt charging posts that you would get in supermarkets, retail parks, car parks and the like. And then round here at the back where the diesel filler would have been is your DC rapid charging port. So this is a 50 kilowatt CHAdeMO port, and this gives the vehicle that high-speed fast charge. So you get the rapid chargers on the motorway network in all the services, and now also in petrol stations. Many BP and Shell petrol stations are putting rapid chargers in. You also get them at IKEAs, and when you're using the DC rapid charging, you'll get a charge from 0 to 80% in about 20 to 30 minutes. So I've shown you before, but here's your AC charging cable. So Type 1 that goes into the connector on the side of the wing, and then Type 2, and that's the standard socket that you get on all charging points, whether that's home, workplace or public chargers. So this is just your AC charging, so slow charging rate basically, and you would use this to connect to your wall charger you would have installed. And then you'd also keep it in the van because then you can connect to typically 7 kilowatt charging post out there in retail parks and car parks and that sort of thing. I can also supply a portable charger, often called a granny cable, and that means you can charge the vehicle on a standard 240 volt main socket. It does take longer because those only draw 10 amp, but it will always be charged overnight. So they're very handy from the off because you can just charge on a normal main socket until you get your wall charger installed. So what I do is a free loan arrangement on those. So you buy the charger with the vehicle, and then typically your wall charger will take 2 to 3 weeks to get installed, so you charge on the main socket, and then when you've got that installed you're going to be charging with that, and maybe you don't want that portable charger anymore, so return it back to me and I'll give you 100% refund, hence why I say it's a free loan. But many people end up keeping them because they're handy things to have, because particularly with a van, if you're out on site during the day, you can top up the van while you're at work, just using a normal main socket. So this vehicle comes with 2 remote keys, and then here's all the paperwork, and it has had 2 keepers, and the registration date is the 11th of the 8th 2014. And it does currently have an MOT. The MOT is until the 10th of August 2020. However, this van is MOT exempt. Electric, 100% electric vans registered before March 2015 are MOT exempt, so there's no requirement to continue with MOT tests if you don't want to. And then here we've got a service history printout from the lease company, and then we've got all the books. We've got the books for the Traffic Master sat nav and handbook and service book. And this van has only done 14,912 miles. So let's quickly talk about range. Obviously this has got a 22 kilowatt hour battery, so these do roughly around the 70 to 80 miles in the summer and around the 60 to 70 mile mark in the winter. It does very much depend on driving style. Obviously if you're going to be bombing it down dual carriageways at 60-70 miles an hour, you're going to get poor range, because EVs like to like that sort of stop start driving, because every time you're slowing down, you're getting the regen back, and the motor, you're slowing down on the electric motor and it's putting a charge back in the battery, whereas if you're on a high speed road you're never slowing down, so you're just exhausting the battery all the time. And your winter driving does very much depend on how much heating you're using, because the heater does use huge amounts of energy to produce heat, and therefore that reduces your range again. The range meter is currently showing 61 miles, but you've got to take that with a huge pinch of salt. That's quite inaccurate at the moment because it's been sat around for a while and not driven, so it needs some proper driving history to in the algorithm to get that back up to something more accurate. And actually, as I've been filming this video this morning, that's been knocking down. I've lost about 3 miles in 10 minutes or so, just sat here, so those are hugely inaccurate. Once you're driving this daily and charging it, it starts getting some driving history, which it shows you up here on the screen, and your miles per kilowatt hour starts getting more reflective of your actual driving, and then you'll find your range meter shoots right up. And what you find with these is often they will benefit from a rapid charge as well, particularly if the battery is really empty. Go into a rapid charge. Giving it a DC rapid charge can sometimes help the battery as well. And you'll find, not immediately, but you'll find your range will increase. And of course we're coming into the summer now, well, the spring, and range will start getting better. So the most I've got out of one of these, I think I did 91, 92 miles once in one of these. But typically you're around the 70 to 80 mile mark, but it very much depends on your driving style. These do like city or town driving, lots of stop-start driving, because your average speed is lower, and all the time you're slowing down for a corner, junction, traffic light, roundabout or whatever. You lift off the accelerator and you're coasting, and then you're slowing down on the motor. That's called the regenerative braking, and that's putting power back into the battery pack, and that hugely improves your economy. So I'll quickly explain how you drive these. So this is your gear selector, so you effectively drive them like an automatic. They're not an automatic. In reality, there's no gearbox. The electric motor is driving the front wheels, but you put your foot on the brake, go up here, select D, release the handbrake, and then you drive it like an automatic. So with an EV, as I said, what you want to do is sort of read the road ahead a bit more, lift off the accelerator sooner, and coast. And while you're coasting, you're putting energy back in the battery. As soon as you touch the brakes, you're transferring that kinetic energy into friction and heat on the brake pads, which you're wasting it. So you want to sort of just read the road ahead a little bit better, and lift off the accelerator and let the regen slow you down. Obviously, if you've got to hit the brakes, you've got to hit the brakes. but to drive these economically, you just allow you slow down on the regen, and the regen on these is actually very strong, so you get used to it, and it will slow down in sort of, it will come to a stop in about 3 car lengths. They're quite amazing to drive. It's proper one pedal driving in these vans. So it started raining now, so I'll wrap this video up. So this vehicle is ready to go, so if you're interested, give me a call or email. Also let me know your postcode and I'll work out delivery cost, and I can deliver this anywhere in the country, and it will come to you on a flatbed and it will be fully charged and ready to use.